The Philadelphia Eagles are in the NFC Championship game. We are going to talk about the matchup, the Snowball. I guess you go Snowball 2, or however many there were. The Snowball against the Rams, and we're going to preview the Eagles Commanders game for the NFC Championship. Let's get it. Let's go.
You love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! Philadelphia!
Eagles Talk on A2D Radio. We are brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. It's Chucks, your boy. I am back. It's Brinks and it's PY. And, of course, we will have Bowen on in a little bit. Gentlemen, we made it to the Final Four championship weekend. How you guys feeling?
Cold.
I feel great. Detroit really bailed us out.
Oh yeah,
on Saturday night, an all-time epic bad loss by the Detroit Lions on Saturday night to just pave the way for the Eagles to go right to New Orleans.
Don't worry, they're super creative and they practice hard.
There was a tweet that someone that I follow said, the Commanders cost us the number 1 seed and then gave it to us right back. It's kind of funny how it worked out. But yeah, we are hosting the NFC Championship game. It's nice to know and have that feeling. I kind of, not gonna lie, guys, going into that Saturday night game, Lions Commanders, I was kind of like deep down, I was like, kind of want the Commanders to win because I want to host it. I want it to be here, so I'm happy with how it turned out. And nothing against the Lions, but this is a matchup, and we're going to talk about this exciting matchup. Division rivals in the NFC Championship game. You don't get to see that often,
Nope.
So we'll discuss that, the hype, and we'll get into obviously the game that happened first, the Snowball, Eagles, Rams. And to start that discussion, we'll get right into our poll. Saquon Barkley is the most important player for the Eagles and their Super Bowl hopes. Agree or disagree? Brinks, let's start with you. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, Rams are a pretty good team. Like, that defense is no joke. They were playing well for the Sunday Night Football matchup a few weeks ago. They were clicking on all cylinders going into that game, and they played well in that game. I think it was wishful thinking to think that the Rams were just going to fold up because of the weather and the cold. They did not. That was a bona fide dogfight yesterday. And the Eagles got the biggest, baddest dog in the fight, whether you want to say that it's Saquon Barkley or the offensive line. The Eagles counter play where they pull Becton and he comes around the edge and just smashes a defensive end or a linebacker is absolutely 100% unstoppable. It doesn't matter if you know it's coming or not. It's going for a big game if it's blocked properly. What do we have? 2 games with Saquon Barkley against a pretty good defense in the Rams. 52 carries, almost 600 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Like, that's ridiculous. That's a career for most guys. He did it in 2 games. I mean, Jalen is what he is. I think that if some of our receivers caught the ball a little bit better on Sunday, that wouldn't have been as close as it was. Preferably AJ at the end of the half there. He just threw an absolute dime. AJ didn't get it. I'm sure we'll talk about AJ Brown moving forward, but I mean, Saquon Barkley is by far the Eagles' best player. He's by far he's the straw that stirs the drink here. Without Saquon Barkley, they're not in this game. They're not playing for an NFC Championship game on Sunday. He's absolutely the most important player for this team.
PI, what do you think?
So I'm going to disagree, and it's going to be controversial, and I think he is your best player. I think Saquon is the best player on the team right now. I think he is the team's MVP, but I still think Jalen is the most important player because what he can do when he is on can be next level. His ability to read the defense on Sunday opened up 2 huge plays. The 2 big Saquon plays, he audibled, and he saw something and allowed Saquon to take him to the house. Like, maybe he saw something, maybe Saquon told him something. As important as Saquon can be for this team, and he is one of the most important players on this football team. I know Jalen hasn't been playing to the best of his ability at times, but like we saw on Sunday, like he was making plays, he was doing what he needs to do. Like if some guy, like Brinks was even saying, if we were able to get just a little bit more help from guys and doing their job, this is a different game. This is possibly a blowout. He should have had at least 3 more touchdowns. Like, but not even just this game. Like we've seen what this team looks like when Hurts isn't playing. Like his ability to see the field, his ability to be a runner, his ability to help Saquon in the running game, because they don't really know what's going on. They don't know if he's going to throw it. They don't know if he's going to run it. They don't know if it's going to be a quick dump off. You know, that ability makes him a dangerous part of this team. And when you have someone like Kenny Pickett in there, and when Saquon is in that game, you kind of know what's going to happen. It's just Saquon running. There's no threat. Obviously there's a threat to him to take it to the house, but there's no misdirection. There's no, he's going to keep it and Kenny Pickett's going to run 10 yards. Like we saw that in the game when they were playing the Commanders, that when Jalen was in there, Saquon was feasting. What do you have, like 120 something yards in the first quarter, Chucks?
Something like that.
Like
but that one touchdown run was without Jalen. Just saying.
Okay.
One of the touchdown runs, the long one, was without Jalen. So I mean,
I understand that. My point being is that if we saw what the rest of the game looked like, that wasn't anywhere close to what he was doing. It was in quarter 2 through 4. That was a very uncharacteristic game from Saquon Barkley, and we can say he's the straw that stirs the drink and everything. And I understand that, and it's controversial and it's not popular right now, especially how Jalen's played in the last few games. But I still think that he is the most important player, considering what he can give this team and what help he can give to Saquon. I look at it. I look at it as like 2 guys who just feast off each other. Like they make each other's job so much easier than it has to be. Like when he was in New York, you knew that like he had to get it done by himself. There was no help. There's no creativity. You know, there's no O-line help. Like, and I think that was one of Jalen's big problems last year is it's hero ball. I got to throw it deep. You know, I got to force it between 3 guys. That's just not the case anymore. I think it's the perfect blend of this offense with these guys is that they kind of know what works and what doesn't work. But at the end of the day, as important, as amazing as Saquon is, I think having Jalen as the quarterback helps him take to the next level. And I don't think you get that element of surprise. I don't think you get that creativity, and I don't think you have that sense of doubt from the defense with a Kenny Pickett or even a Tanner McKee in there.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. You're going the route of QB is the most important position in football, so therefore it's going to be Jalen Hurts. I understand, but I'm going to disagree with
That's
you.
fine.
I'm going to agree to the poll. You say that what was one of the last points you tried to make? That with Kenny Pickett in there, that takes away a lot of the threat, the QB run threat. That oftentimes does help Saquon Barkley, and I get that. But at the same time, if you take away Saquon, that takes away a lot of the stuff this offense can do. Saquon raises the ceiling of this offense so high. So I'm going to agree to the point. I'm going to say he's the most important player because without him, you are relying on the passing game, and we've seen the passing game is not hitting on all cylinders lately. Now it's not all Jalen's fault. It is a combination of things. No matter what anyone's going to say, it's a combination of several different things as to why the passing game is struggling at times. But the one constant that you can rely on is Saquon Barkley coming in and making big runs. You want to talk about that second meeting against the Commanders? Well, the reason why Saquon wasn't productive is because the Commanders were able to really stack the box without getting penalized for it, because Pickett wasn't able to do much because he also wasn't able to practice the whole week. We came in, and I even said, I said in our chat that we have PY that he didn't play well. Pickett really didn't play well. But at the same time, the following week you saw with practice reps and being able to be there with the first team, he played well the next week against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys played their starters. So I don't think that you can fully rely on that because, again, the Commanders didn't have to pay for stacking the box. So while I get that quarterback by default is the most important position, we're talking about this team who is a run-first team, and they have a dominant offensive line and the defense. Your most important player is going to be Saquon Barkley. It's going to be the guy that is, as you said, stirs the pot. The guy, the engine that makes this car run. So I agree with the poll question. We've got a lot of people coming in, and we've got Martian saying, "Is he talking about Jalen? He's talking about Jalen Carter, right? Ain't no way he's talking about Hurts." Martian did say that safety is what he needed to do. That play is very controversial. I kind of understand both sides. You don't want him taking the safety, but at the same time, like it was a tough play because he had Goddard in the middle of the field, running underneath.
The guy ran in front of him.
You want him to check it down there, and absolutely, I think that's a play to be made. But it's also it's more difficult to say that than to actually do it because there was that defender right in Hurts' face. So it's a tough play to make. Ideally, you want him to make it, but it is difficult. So I'm not killing Jalen for that because
it's an awful play call.
Well,
it is an awful play call. He also shouldn't have been in there.
You should have. I think
run the football there in the snow 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah. Yep. That's the egregious part is they didn't run it. They ran it on first down, got 4 yards, and then he passed it. I don't understand that play call there. So that's what I have more of an issue with when it comes to that play than I deal with Hurts or anyone else. The play call, and there were some really questionable play calls.
Oh yes,
more there. So I hear you.
Well, when you're more worried about job interviews than the game planning, that tends to happen.
I'm not good.
That's not what happens.
You're blowing.
That's such a tired. That's such a.
You blow it.
He's just married to the Philadelphia Eagles forever and can't advance his career at all.
Yeah, I don't think that. And
he's gonna be the Cowboys head coach. We know this.
Good for him. I don't think he's that great. Good for him.
You even saw it in our group chat, PY, the tweets I shared from Honest NFL. I think a lot of fans make way too much out of this because of what happened with Jonathan Gannon. But even he said that the Jonathan Gannon thing is even overblown because Gannon's game plan just overall and how he's done it that way for that whole season was just flawed. In the first half, Gannon's approach was working, but once the Chiefs countered, Gannon didn't really do anything to counter back. But that was his MO the whole 2 years he was with us. So it wasn't anything new. It wasn't really as much of he was ready for his next job as the head coach of the Cardinals. And I think that using that example, to fall on Kellen Moore and act like, oh, he's not putting in the work because he's getting interviewed for a next head coaching job. I think it's a bit of a cop out. PY.
He did a Zoom interview on a Saturday afternoon before
when they were done everything.
No, that's such a lazy take. I'm not buying it. It's so lazy.
Yeah, it is. We're going to bring in Les Bowen. Maybe he knows a little bit more about that. But Les, how you doing? I haven't seen you 2 weeks. How's everything?
I'm great. I'm pretty lazy, so I can hop in.
Wes has had an interesting 24 hours.
Oh my god! Oh
Yeah.
my god! So Les, our poll question: Saquon Barkley is the most important
Yes.
player for the Eagles in their Super Bowl hopes. What say you?
I guess you have to agree with that. I mean, right now he's doing things that I was reading Sam Farmer's column from the LA Times today, one of the top NFL writers, guy who's in the what they call the Hall of Fame thing for the writers. Sam said something like he's doing things that very few, having a season unlike very few in the history of the sport at any position, which is, when you think about it, that's right up there. Yeah, I mean, there are other players whose, if they were to lose them, they wouldn't win the Super Bowl probably, but including the quarterback. But yeah, Saquon is the linchpin of this whole thing. I can certainly agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, we all agreed to it. And me, Brinks, but PY didn't. He said Jalen Hurts, which I told him I can understand that, but I think you look at the run game and the ceiling of this team is extremely raised with Saquon Barkley.
Right. They're not winning either of these next two games without Saquon Barkley. I don't think they're winning them without Jalen Hurts, but they might have more of a chance than they would without Barkley.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's get
it's a minor distinction.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Trying to get some of these comments. Mr. Wing says Mark Andrews killed the Ravens. Yeah, talk about that Ravens
game.
Yes, he
did.
I hated to see that because Mark Andrews is, a great player. He had this thing where he saved somebody's life after an accident.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I mean, you would think good things would happen to people like that, but oh my God!
Yes, he can't save
fumble
seasons.
And then the drop pass at the end. That my take on all that was, and this is a little bit off the Mark Andrews subject, is that the Bills were kind of like the Eagles. They were kind of lucky that they didn't screw that up at the end. A guy drops a 2-point conversion and you win. To me, the Eagles kind of went out almost the same way. A game that they probably left. What would be your opinion, guys? I would say at least a dozen points on the field. Some people have said 20
for yesterday.
Yeah,
I think at least minimum 3 touchdowns. There's the AJ drop in the end zone. There's
you got field goals on some of those, so you can't say
AJ Brown's drop at the end of the first half, that was killer. That was killer because they still
won. That was the biggest.
You're going up 20-10, and
it changes the game. It changes the narrative around Hurts. I don't know what's going on with AJ. He has not seemed engaged
because they got no points after that drop, right?
Right,
because they took a sack.
That was one of the sacks that Jalen took that probably negated field goals.
Yep. And then you had Lane Johnson,
that Jake Elliott made the field goals, but he made all of his field goals. He just missed extra points. I tell you, I wrote for PHLY about that this evening, and just coincidentally, and to me, to have Matt Stafford standing on the doorstep there in the final minute of that game was just, that could have been, I know nobody wants to think about this now because it's all the memories are going to be the snow and Saquon romping and all. That could have been one of the worst losses in the history of Philadelphia sports.
Oh, that could have been bad.
Oh my God. I mean, they were 10 plays away. They had the ball on the 13-yard line with a chance to score a touchdown and kick an extra point and win the game. And I mean, yes, a lot of wonderful things happened yesterday, especially defensively, but oh my God, I mean, you should have been 12 points up, 14 points up, 18 points up. And I know a lot of people on social media just give me don't worry about it. They do this every week. Blah, 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 blah. No, you can't. You're not going to win the Super Bowl like this. You're really not. I'm sorry. You're not.
Yeah, it's gonna be
mean-
it's gonna be tough. I mean, it's hard enough. It's hard enough to escape when you don't play your best football, and they've. I don't want to say lucked out because they definitely made plays and caused the defense. Because I don't want to associate the word luck with the defense at all. They balled out and they make every play. I think it's just when you start to get deeper in the playoffs, those margins for errors get really, really short. And you can kind of say, okay, like against the Commanders, maybe again not so much because I think on talent wise, on the whole roster, Washington doesn't compare to the other.
No,
teams.
it doesn't. And none of the teams
Yeah.
left in the tournament compares full roster to the Eagles.
Mhm.
But if you saw the way Washington played up in Detroit, Washington didn't leave 20 points on the field.
Yeah, they capitalized. Yeah,
you gotta play. You gotta play, and you can't just Becton got to downfield on a long gain. Oh, gee, these things happen. Lane flinched. No, this got to stop. This got to stop. I'm not saying this very articulately, but it was maddening to watch that game, as it so often is with the Eagles. It was just one of my sons coined the term "victory ulcer" during that game.
That was a victory ulcer.
Oh my God, yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
The problem, if they were to lose that football game yesterday at the last second, I'm not looking at the final drive. I'm looking at the touchdown where they let him go right down the field in 30 seconds because they play prevent defense.
Oh, well, you're really looking at Jake
defense.
Elliott. I think Jake Elliott would need police protection if they'd have lost that game by 1 point. But
he did miss 2 extra points. But the 3 field goals he did make in the snow were very, very, very exceptional kicks. But I guess my point I'm trying to make is prevent defense. The only purpose it serves is it prevents you from winning football games.
You're absolutely right.
It prevents me from being happy is what it does.
Yeah. I mean, Stafford is good. The fact that they scored that first touchdown didn't shock me. I was more shocked that the Eagles couldn't get a first down after that and didn't even come close to getting a first down after that. But yeah, that was not a good setup there. They needed to be way ahead. It just wasn't the right. They'd screwed around and left themselves in a bad spot, and they were lucky to get out of it. They were good. I mean, Jalen Carter's sack wasn't lucky. That was skill. But overall, they were a little bit lucky that the Rams didn't find a way to win that because they shouldn't have been in that position.
Yeah, I am going to be the black sheep. I'm not usually as hard. I can understand people's criticism of prevent defense because you're constantly letting the offense complete passes and everything like that. I think it was too soon for Fangio to go to a prevent and the soft coverage like that. So I agree with that. But in general, I never agreed with the notion like prevent defenses prevents you from winning. It's there for a reason. Like the reason why you call it prevent defense is because you don't want to give a big play. Like at the time is against the offense. So the offense, they're gonna have to matriculate down the field. So you're preventing big plays and quick scores. So that's the purpose.
Theoretically.
So you use it at late in the games when the time is against the offense. That one instance, Fangio went to it. I think there was too much time left on the clock still. So I agree with not liking it there, but in general, I think prevent defense does get a little too. It gets too much. It's there for a reason, but the problem is defensive coordinators go to it sometimes when they're not supposed to. I think that's an issue. Brian Pumper, and we'll get to other comments. We got a lot of good comments.
Super chat.
Thank you, Brian. He
Thanks,
said,
buddy.
"Does have to make it look so damn hard every week?" Again, he did not play a great game, so I understand that, and we'll talk about that. I'm going to leave a lot of the discussion because, to be honest, guys, I'm fed up with the Jalen Hurts discourse. Like, you have people on here that are always like Brian Pumper. I appreciate the super chat, but we know you don't like him. And you have people that want to never criticize him.
You have people who can't accept any criticism whatsoever. And then on the other side, you have people who claim that he doesn't pass the ball well. Well, look at his completion percentage. There's no problem with passing the ball. he had maybe 2 errant throws yesterday out of the whole.
He was tossing gems yesterday. Like he was
but the problem
dotting
is
guys
getting
up.
him to
They just
pass
couldn't.
the
They
ball.
couldn't catch
Yeah.
the ball.
You have to get the ball out of his hand.
Exactly.
Yes,
It's
the
not
problem.
his fault. It's not his fault that Devontae Smith couldn't hold on to the ball, even though he got decked. It's not his fault AJ Brown dropped the ball.
Yeah.
It's not
It
his
is his
fault
fault that
Dallas
he took a
Goedert
few of those
didn't
sacks,
run
though.
properly.
Yeah.
the sacks are bad.
I will say in the anti-Jalen camp, and I'm not in that, but if I were, Jimmy Kempski put up a graphic today of the time to throw on each of those sacks. There was one sack that he really had no chance to throw.
No.
There were maybe 2 others that were kind of like, and then there were like 4 that were like, what the actual? I mean, you can't stand back there for 5 seconds and then get sacked. You just can't.
Yeah.
And Nick was talking today about, well, if you're in the pocket, you can't really throw it away. I think he's telling us something. You guys might not know this, but, they're going to call you for grounding unless you're outside the pocket. Well, no. You find a receiver somewhere and you throw it 10 yards over his head out of bounds. I mean, I've seen it done. Oh, dear.
I didn't see that, Greg. Greg says, did you notice Jalen made
Yes.
mention that the Rams were making line calls that caused Lane Johnson?
Well, and that's against the rules. You can't simulate the snap. And that is what Jalen said. If they actually did that, that should have been called. Now, I can see how in a loud stadium, the officials maybe didn't hear it or something.
No.
But I hope I don't, obviously I'm not down there, but I wish somebody had asked Lane about that or would ask Lane about that if that's what he thought happened. Because that's
somebody on Twitter, I forget who it was. They showed a zoom in of that play, and one of the Rams guy's helmet is past where he's supposed to be, so it should have been a freaking neutral zone infraction.
Well, as long as I've been around this game, I still don't understand what offensive linemen can and can't do at the line of scrimmage.
Because
you see guys turn around like this and start talking to the quarterback. That's not a false start. What the hell is a false start?
Ever since they started doing the tush push, the things that offensive linemen can and can't do, all of a sudden it became a lot more interesting to discuss.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, PY is looking through rose-colored glasses, as you always do. We know,
but I'm not. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't think he was. I'm not though. I'm not. I don't think he played the best game he could on Sunday. Like I thought there was a lot.
I think he played the best out of anyone on the panel because I was actually down there yesterday. And I was also at the LaShawn McCoy snow game.
Yeah,
and it could have been the LaShawn McCoy snowball game. That was 70 and sunny compared to what was going on yesterday.
Yeah.
That was not easy to kick the ball. That was not easy to throw the ball. It was not easy to catch the ball. It wasn't even easy cracking a Bud Light open in the stands. Like, nothing was easy yesterday.
Yeah.
So, let's chill on Jalen. Let's chill on Jalen, just for this week.
The overall, I'm not – Jalen is the heart of it, but there's an overall discussion about the things the offense did yesterday that just wanted you to jump off the bridge. It just – I don't know. I don't understand it. It's like they're so talented, they just don't need to take care of details or, they really do have the best roster. And Sirianni almost – pretty much said today, hey, as long as Jalen doesn't turn the ball over, we'll win.
Which
might be true.
There's credence to that. Absolutely. Look at the teams that lost. How many times they turned it over?
I know. I understand. I would argue that a safety is a turnover in that you're giving away 2 points and you're kicking the ball to the other team. But nonetheless, I understand his point. I mean, their defense is so good.
Yep. I think the craziest part of the defense is one of the things that we had issue with coming into the season was the pass rush. I think in the last 5 or 6 weeks, the pass rush has come on.
Gotten a lot better. It wasn't
even
great yesterday. There were periods during that game yesterday where it kind of disappeared, but it was there when they needed it. late in the game. That's
Carter's
for sure.
been explosive. Nolan Smith's been explosive. And then, like, you've had obviously you're getting Josh Sweat, you're getting your Milton Williams in there, but then you're getting guys who are giving
Jalen
you.
Hunt had a sack.
Yeah. Jalen Hunt.
That's Hunt.
Moro Jarmo, I know I'm saying his name probably atrociously. Like you're getting all your young pieces over the last few years contributing, which is huge, especially a Jalen Hunt and a Moro Jarmo, like guys who like, oh yeah, we'll see you in year 3, buddy.
Especially since Vic Fangio sort of forgot to put Bryce Huff on the field yesterday.
Did he forget, Wes? Did he forget?
I don't think he
Oh
forgot
my
anything,
God!
Les.
How do you dress the guy and then just tell him, "Yeah, you go sit over there"? You know, I mean, that is just. Wow.
I think that's like insane. Is that they spent all this money on this guy, and like he's just there.
Yeah, and he's not going to be here next year. I don't care what the cap hit is or whatever, but you can't keep a guy around that the defensive coordinator won't put in a game.
That's true. Yeah. Pumper says,
Brian Pumper, are you like not even gonna like talk about the fact that over the last 2 games, like the Rams have been like one of the best pass rushing teams in the playoffs right now. Like obviously they had what 11 against Minnesota. Like they had 7 against us. Like whether or not you want to throw that on Jalen or not, that's fine. Like he took sacks he shouldn't have, but they were just they were all over the place. They were a disruptive pass rushing team on Sunday.
Well, Brian is bringing up the safety, and one of my points there. I mean, it was horrible. On the looking at replays, it seems like he could have gotten Goddard over the middle very quickly. You know, could have gotten the ball to him. But this is right after Hurts suffered whatever that knee injury is.
Yep.
They're at the 6-yard line. They started at the 2. They ran the ball 4 yards, 2nd and 6 from the 6. And Kellen Moore has him dropping back into the end zone. Like an 8-step drop. What the actual why?
I don't know.
Honestly, he shouldn't have been in the game. That should have been a Kenny Pickett drive to end the half. Like there's like what 40 seconds on the clock, right? Just have Pickett in there.
This is after the half. This is way after
that was
the half.
second half.
Yeah. But he's in his own. You know, why is he backing up into his own end zone? Why do you want to do that? You're on the 6-yard line.
They got 4
hand
yards
it off again, or have him roll out as they finally did. You know, maybe 3 times yesterday. Do something that doesn't require a guy with a bad knee dropping back into the end zone. It just seems kind of obvious to me. But
no, I hear you.
And if the Cowboys want that guy, go right ahead.
Well, what do you think about that, Les? Like, what do you think about these coordinators taking interviews when they still have business to attend to? It didn't work out too well for the Lions.
There's been a lot of – thanks, Rob, for bringing that up. I did want to talk about that. There's been a big – when I first started, nobody ever hired assistants from the Super Bowl teams because you couldn't talk to them at all until after the whole thing was over. And it was a huge maybe not so much for guys who are going to get head coaching jobs because teams who really wanted those guys would hold them open. But for guys, like if somebody wanted your quarterback's coach to be their offensive coordinator, they weren't going to wait another month, to do that. And assistants weren't getting chances. So they put in this stuff where you have this window and and it's weird. I mean, you were right? It's a Zoom interview in the afternoon. It's a team that he coached for several years, so it's not like he had to do a whole lot of prep. But if it was a different team, if it was the Chargers that wanted to talk to him, well, I guess he worked for the Chargers too, so that's not a good. I could have picked any one of 30.
The Jets.
Let's say the Jets. Yeah, let's use the Jets. He would have to do a lot of prep for that. I mean, they don't just ask you about what your philosophy is and stuff. They want to know how you see their team. They want in-depth information. I mean, it's weird. There's no doubt about it. It's weird. I mean, it's not a great thing to have going on in the middle of these playoffs. But the only answer is to make everybody wait. and not let anybody hire anybody. So you're not
Yeah.
giving advantages to the coaches that were knocked out earlier, or weren't in the playoffs. You make these poor teams that don't have any direction and any focus wait another 6 weeks after the season to hire their coaches, and that's tough too. I don't like it. I didn't like the Gannon thing. I'm not sure it affected the game that much, but it certainly set a bad, the way things went in that
But with
game.
Gannon,
Have
with
them
Gannon,
stay in
Les,
Arizona and take the job, and then them get have to give up a draft pick for tampering. That's not good. And
but with Gannon, they did it like there's that week off between the championship game. Like they did it then. Ben Johnson and
window
Aaron
then
Glenn,
too.
They interviewed during their bye week.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that should be like you can't talk to our guy.
Right.
No, I don't think.
I think it's things when you're in consideration for something like that. There's not just what am I going to do if I'm the coach of the Dallas Cowboys? There's I better check in with so and so. I told him if I ever got a head coaching gig, he could be my wide receivers coach. I haven't talked to him lately. I wonder if he knows anybody who's really good as an assistant special teams. There's you don't just take a job. It's a big. It is a big thing, and I don't know the answer. I don't know how to make it better.
You're
I think
that doesn't have any direction and doesn't have a coach. Like you should have to wait till after the Super Bowl.
Well, that would really put a lot of those teams behind the 8 ball going into the draft.
They need to start making better choices about who they bring into their building.
Yeah,
Senior Bowl week is a hell of a thing.
That's
for
the whole
most
conundrum.
teams that aren't in the playoffs.
But they have GMs. They have GM. Most of some go like the Titan, or was it the Titans who cut loose their GM because they just hired the Callahan guy? You hire your GM whenever you want. I don't care about that.
Right. But you got, the offensive line coach goes to Mobile, and everybody, it's there's a lot that happens.
Well, when's the Senior Bowl? Remind me.
What's that?
When's the Senior Bowl? Remind me.
It's usually late. It'd be about this next week, I guess. Would probably
February
be
1st.
between the
well, that's another thing. That's ridiculously early.
Yeah. Well, that's
part of the problem. Yeah.
That's the problem is that the way that the offseason is set up in order to, because like it's there's no, I don't think that it's a situation where there's a right or wrong answer. It's like you're stuck in a tough situation because ideally you want these hirings to take place after the Super Bowl. You want this whole process to start after the Super Bowl. Yes, 100% correct. The thing is the way the offseason is set up with the Senior Bowls, the draft stuff, the prepping for
free agency.
Like it's so bang bang that teams kind of need to get started to get the ball rolling because remember, it's not like this stuff, the front office, they have to get these scouts in for the draft and for everything like that, like early. So like it's a tough situation. Like I'm like Les, I don't know the solution to fix it. I just before you got on, Les, my point was just like it is a little bit overblown. I don't think it's as impactful as many people assume, but it still isn't ideal. So I get the frustration.
It's also like for Detroit, they've already lost their offensive coordinator today, and there's talk that the defensive coordinator also will get a head coaching job. Len, teams in that situation don't fare well the next year, as we found. Usually. It's a tough go. It's going to be tough for Detroit. I feel bad for them because I thought they had the best team when everybody was healthy.
But healthy.
That isn't how it went,
Yep. I mean, they lost 2 people during that game, and that was especially Amik Robertson when he came out. That was just like the strong.
Well, I was thinking about that yesterday when Quinyon went out. I was thinking, oh boy, this is kind of lining up.
But luckily, Rodgers fought. Rodgers, he was solid. Like he was.
Yeah, Isaiah Rodgers is a good player. Back in the summer, I expected him to start ahead of Quinyon because I didn't know Quinyon was be as good out of the box as he is.
Yeah.
But Isaiah Rodgers is a starting corner for a lot of teams in the NFL. And he had a great play on that fumble return,
Oh yeah. So
just not on the jump catch.
No,
he just
he was there. That was
yeah.
a couple times he was there, and he just wasn't able to make. The one ball. If you're talking about the one where he should have just knocked it down instead of letting the receiver take it away from him. Yeah, I mean but it's not like he was beat on the play.
Exactly. Like he tried to make the interception. I can't fault him for that. Like he made a good play on the ball, went for the pick, which you absolutely do if you can. But then I think it's just a case where the receiver made a better play. Like sometimes offense just they get paid too, so they have to you have to give them credit where it's due. Some questions here. Let's get to before we let you go, Les. Martian did ask, and so I'm going to make this a 2-comment topic because Martian asked how in the hell is this pass offense so anemic, and then Ewing does respond later. In general, he says, "Guys, check the all 22. The wide receiver routes were bad." So I will I want to put in my 2 cents. I think the problem, and this kind of relates to Jalen Hurts, and the people in the chat can say I'm making excuses or whatnot. I'm not, but I refuse to get into the discourse again. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts, we know what his strengths and weaknesses are at this point. We know what he does well. We know what he doesn't do well. I think Kellen Moore has to do a better job of masking the stuff that he doesn't do well and do a better job of setting him up to help emphasize the stuff he does do well. I think in major part is he has a tendency to hold the ball too long. So what should you do? Call short, quick, do more quick game. Short passes, like not even just short passes, but quick game is not just about short passes, but like incorporate more quick game. Do more stuff that manufacturers put the wide receivers in stacks and bunches more and get designed routes so that they are designed
people are open.
Yeah, so you don't have to rely. There's too many hitch routes that require comeback, require anticipation. That's not Hurts' game. And one of my friends that I follow on Twitter, he does a great job. He made this great point. When's the last time, guys, you saw in our system there was a consistent backside dig or a crossing route that had the receiver work itself into the view of the quarterback on the strong side? The last time I remember was 2018 when we had after 2018. I'm dead serious. Because starting in 2019, Doug Peterson started to call all these deep shots where it was static and spread, where everyone was just calling either vertical routes or you're calling Hank, where you're calling consistent stop routes. That's the last time I saw consistent backside digs in the playbook. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we doing routes where you're having a lot of opportunity for yak, where the receivers are catching it in stride so that they can, work off of that? Like there isn't enough of that, and we've seen some flashes of it during the season. We have, but I don't know why it's not being called a lot now. So to me, that's the solution I have for the passing game. Yes, Jalen has his flaws, but if you want to fix those flaws, let's start calling plays that mask those flaws. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. And I agree completely with you that I think everything you said is right. And I know a lot of people just go to Jalen because you had these problems last year with Brian Johnson and with Nick, but as we've talked about, I'm not sure Kellen Moore has changed that much of what they had going here before. I wish he'd have changed more than he has, actually. I don't know if this is stuff Nick is wed to. I don't understand it at all. I can't believe that it's what Jalen wants to do because he doesn't do it that well. Those 3 or 4 times they rolled him out, it worked every time. And I know you can't do it 20 times because it won't work 20 times, but why aren't you doing that every week? 3 or 4 times, do it in a crucial situation. Do it on the 6-yard line when it's 2nd and 6 instead of sending him back into the end zone. There's so much. Kellen Moore talks every week, and it's like the teacher on Charlie Brown. It's And I also
Wah,
used
wah, 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 wah.
it, and that I also used the meme last week of Kellen Moore's press conference of the guy that does the skit where he's driving the Wienermobile and he drives it into a building and then he's wearing the Wiener suit and he walks around saying, "We all want to find the guy who did that."
Oh yeah.
Kellen Moore just is like, "Oh, yeah, it'd be nice to have more explosive plays and blah,
Yeah.
you know."
I think that Moore, again, and I've said this already on the show plenty of times, but I'll say it again. I think Moore has done an incredible job with the run game with Steph. They both they deserve so much credit with what they've brought on the run game design. So 100%. And I think Moore has done, again, a good job of incorporating necessary motion into our offense. So again, good job there. But yeah, like outside of that, on a consistent basis, there aren't enough designed routes. There just aren't. It's a lot of the same concepts that we've had, and you want to see more. You absolutely want to see more.
Well, does anyone else besides me think AJ Brown's hurt?
Yeah, something's going on there.
That.
You know, clearly, but that shouldn't affect his hands. I mean, you know, why do you drop the ball for being hurt? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it affects his confidence, his vision of who he is. I don't know. But he's not practicing a lot. So, yeah, you know, he probably is hurt, and we don't know how much.
Moving on to the Commanders' outlook, I think Bob here has a great point.
Is Bob a relative, by the way?
Yeah, I know him a little bit. Big thing is Jay Daniels is hot, and Washington has nothing to lose. Like, nailed right on the head.
That means
there.
nothing.
Yeah, the nothing to lose.
Everything.
I don't know.
You need to prepare for fake punts. You need to prepare
the
for fake
Rams
field goals.
the Rams were hot.
But the Rams are good, PY. I don't think Washington's that good. They're just hot.
The hot team is just like, that's just a playoff phrase that people go around. Like,
no, it's not.
It
well,
is. Like,
I think Daniels.
All I heard all week long was how hot the Rams are. They won the last 10. Oh my God, we need to be worried.
Well, Daniels is really great.
You don't think the Rams are a more talented team than the Commanders? That was a worthy opponent yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
That was a good team.
It was a worthy opponent, but they're not. They were a worthy opponent because they're just a good team. Like, they're not a worthy opponent. Oh, they got hot at the right time. No,
that's what Washington is.
They have a good head coach. Like,
well,
they have a good team overall.
Washington has a quarterback that I'm really fascinated to see how next year goes. Because if he doesn't take a step back, if he really is what he looks like he is, he could be like a Mahomes. You know, he's
really good.
Really good.
Yeah.
The rest of their roster isn't. Their defense still, even though they've gotten guys back from injury and all that stuff, they still have people on that defense that couldn't play for the Eagles. You know,
they have Luvu,
and they have an offensive.
Watch out
line.
for that dirty guy.
Yeah. They have an offensive line that's good. Their best offensive lineman actually got hurt.
Yeah, Cosme's out.
This week. So, you know, but Jaden Daniels is so far just unbelievable. I mean, the passes, the poise, everything he does. And coordinators haven't had an off season to study him or any of that stuff, you know, that always happens with great rookie quarterbacks. But it's pretty scary what he's been able to do. And what he was able to do against Detroit. But I just think coming into the link, it's going to be a tough game. We don't know what the weather is yet. I don't see the Commanders, stopping the Eagles a whole lot. They didn't, even when Kenny Pickett was quarterbacking. That was one of the weirdest games ever, that game. But the Eagles do. That brings up something, though. The Eagles have to do a better job of converting turnovers into points.
Yes.
And it kind of started with that Commanders game and Kenny Pickett, and it's just gotten ridiculous. You can't just kick a field goal every time the defense gives you the ball in scoring position. Quinion, I think he's going to play. He doesn't. You're right. He doesn't intercept the ball anyway. You just want him to cover. He
just gives you lockdown corner abilities. Like, I'm cool with that. I have
Only-
I have two guys who are ball hawks. His name is Darius Slay and CJGJ. Like,
Yeah.
and then I'll have my weird random.
Well, Reed
Reed
Blankenship too. He's a ball.
Well,
hawk.
he just catches the exact same pass every time he has the interception. It's
Yeah.
the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like,
Diving for the
no
ball,
matter
yeah.
what, it's
He's
the
a
exact same play.
It's when he's playing deep post, and then he's able to attack on the post and undercut the receiver. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. The fact that he's gotten all his interceptions that way. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things.
So
right
the way
now.
we cut together the Saquon runs from the 4 Saquon runs from the Rams games, can we just cut together all the Blankenship plays where we
Someone
just see
did.
it's the exact
Someone did.
same thing?
It is.
PY, someone did. I'm pretty sure you saw it.
I don't-
Someone did. I posted it in the thing. So,
That
all right,
is the
Les.
only-
Well,
that's
thank
the only
you.
blemish on Quinion Mitchell's professional career
So
is
far,
Terry
yeah.
McLaurin.
It's only been year 1. I mean, like come on.
I'm just saying he's going to want to
He's-
play and redeem himself. PY. I'm not
Yes.
ripping
Redeem
Quinion Mitchell.
himself.
He didn't
Yeah,
play
what
good
is he
against. We
doing?
got torched by
Nah,
Terry
McLaurin
McLaurin in
is
that game.
McLaurin is one of my favorite players in the league. You know,
Yeah.
he's a
He's very
really
good.
tremendous player.
He's so
He
good.
is very
He's so
good.
He's
But
so good. Yeah.
you know, it ought to be a little easier game than last week, but who knows?
Real quick, I saw that someone made this point, and I honestly think they're right. Like that's the most I've ever seen.
He
Jalen
was
Hurts
hurt out of his mind.
Yeah.
Like that was a Kurt Angle perk that he took.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! It
Like,
was
I
so-
even
think his
Tony Romo's
knees
like-
in rough shape, boys.
Yeah, that could really be that could have a big effect. It could. It really could.
Just
If
give him
he's
a
not-
Tony Romo shot before, during, and then after the game. We're good to go.
Yeah.
I
mean-
need him to be like the coach from Varsity Blues.
okay.
I
I don't know
mean,
what to say about
speaking of stoned on air, did anybody see the beginning of the opening of the Texans versus Chiefs game where Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were like doing their open?
No, I did
Troy
not.
Aikman, his eyes were as red as that jersey in PY's background there. It was blatantly obvious. He was not sober.
Oh, okay. Did not get into
Like-
I
that.
did
but
not
all
see
right.
that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Go check it. It's got to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's just bloodshot city.
I gotta look that up. Then. I gotta look that up then. Les, thank you again for
Great
coming
being
on
here,
with
fellas.
us. Yeah,
Enjoyed
it's always
talking with
good
you.
talk. Absolutely, and like I always tell you, hopefully next week when we see you, we'll be celebrating another Eagles
Super
win.
Bowl bound.
Super Bowl
Wow.
bound. We'll see.
Let's hope so. And good talking with you. And I'll look forward to it.
All right, see you, Les. I'll
Bye,
see you on
Les.
Twitter. Peace.
And speaking of Troy Aikman, somewhere along the line, he just decided he doesn't care and just is saying whatever he wants, and it's great.
Which wait, are you talking about the calls on Mahomes?
Where he just
Yes.
rips Chiefs
Oh,
the
yeah.
entire
I love
game.
it.
But like
I know.
that's kind of always been Troy. Troy doesn't care. Like Troy just says what he wants. And
I like the combo of Joe Buck and Troy.
Oh,
I don't
it's
know
great.
why
they're a
he-
good
It's so good.
combo. I think Eagles fans just like they overlook all of the stuff he says. They're like, oh, he's just a cowboy homer. I'm like, no, he's a
He's
a
good.
good objective play caller.
Yeah.
I'll take him over Brady any day of the week.
Oh, so would I. I would take him 1,000 times over. I mean, it's not saying much. 1,000 times over Chris Collinsworth. That's for sure.
Yes.
So
Now here's a guy. Now watch out as I kiss
100%.
Patrick Mahomes' butt for
So
3.5 hours.
so many
but
things. I have no.
Collinsworth has Tarico with him, who's incredible.
I know that's the Briggs. That's the sucky part is
Yeah.
that he's got Tarico,
Just
who's
saying,
the best
like,
in the business.
It brings up like the average a little bit for him.
Did you know that
Oh my
Patrick
God.
Mahomes once took a breath of air? Never been done before.
I think.
And
yeah.
I don't have any time for the CBS guys, Nance and
Oh
Romo.
my god! Oh my god! Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Romo
if you
took
wanted, if it's the Masters, cool, Jim Nance, you can announce golf.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah. Brady was better this week, but still I'd rather have Olsen.
Yeah,
I still think Olsen
whatever.
is the best.
I just think it's funny that people were like, "Oh, well, he was so good as a player, and he was animated." I said, "No, he wasn't animated as a player. He was animated on the sideline when he was throwing tablets like a baby. That's when he was animated."
I don't think Tom Brady should be allowed to be a broadcaster. If he's
no, I agree with you.
He's not.
There is so many sus things about that.
Yeah, he's not good. He's not good. I miss Olsen. I wish Olsen would be still the guy, but made room for the GOAT, I guess, right?
Cotton Ball doesn't announce for them anymore.
He does. He's just not. He's not one of the.
Not the main team.
The main team.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You could have done 3-man. You could have done 3-man booth. They do that all the time.
I missed the 3-man booth, Briggs. I remember when they were doing that. I thought the 3-man booth was entertaining, but I mean, they did that. They stopped doing that, I think, a few years ago. The last time I saw it was 2020. I think it was 2020 the last time, but I could be wrong. Ball does ask, what do you guys think of the play calling, Kansas City versus Texans game? I'll let you guys answer that, and then I'll answer that tomorrow on.
Now, by play calling, do you mean like
the refs?
How Patrick Mahomes is just a flopper and a softie and a loser now? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
if you want to go to the if you want to get into the actual X and O's of the game, like I'll tell you to listen to Chuck's show. When's it come on, Chuck's? Wednesday?
Tomorrow. So it'll be released on Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning. So if you want to get into that, I would go to I would defer to Chuck's and Pete and listen to their show for that. But as far as Patrick Mahomes is just a floppy, soft little loser now, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's
gone. I'm all for gamesmanship and getting a call and working the refs, but oh my god, that one where he got like tapped on the shoulder and just like
he slowed down for the sideline. He deliberately slowed down, and then once he got tapped, he like flopped over. Like I like Mahomes, like I like the Chiefs. If the Eagles aren't in it, like the Chiefs are one of the teams I don't mind seeing win it. I think Mahomes chasing Brady is fun, but like, come on, Mahomes, like you don't need to be doing that. You get calls as it is. You don't need to be going overboard and flopping. It's way too over the top what he's doing. So I agree I'm with you, Brinks. It's annoying. And then Joe says, I loved hearing the Texans players and media recognize the blatant cheat and favoritism for Kansas City. It's about time it was highlighted. Yeah, I mean, we've always people I engage with on Twitter, we've always kind of pointed it out. It's annoying.
But no one takes our tweets seriously because we lost to them in the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
I'm
not
gonna lie and say the Chiefs don't get calls because we all know they do. But like, I also don't think the Texans played well. Like they went. They allowed the Chiefs to only score 13 points before things got out of hand. Like there were opportunities there, and they just didn't take advantage of them. Like
offensively, I agree with you. Defensively, they have two great corners. They have a great defensive coach. Will Anderson's a beast. Like they're fine defensively. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why C.J. Stroud had a sophomore slump.
I think.
Could it be the Ohio State in them coming out?
No, it's not. It's the offensive line to start. And if you honestly think, if you look at it, in the playoffs, CJ Stroud actually played well. So like I can't be like before the playoffs started, I gave his season like a C grade. But if I'm gonna factor in the playoffs, he gets like a B. I bumped it up to a B. I think he ended the year well, played well, and he didn't adjust to the consistent pressure well, so that's something he's going to have to incorporate into his game. But it starts with the offensive line. Like his offensive line was horrible, consistently seeing pressure so much that it got to him. So he's got to improve that. But if you're the Texans, you feel good about the way the season ended in the playoffs because he started playing well again. Nico Collins is he's absolutely elite.
He's very good.
Yeah.
He's a wide receiver one for sure.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. He's a beast. So you feel good how it ended. You just need to beef up the offensive line. You need to get another wide receiver because Tank Dell might not be ever the same again. And you got to get a running back. but you can easily get those. You can get those in the draft and free agency. They'll be okay. They'll be fine. Yeah, Mr. Wings says the O line was awful. Like, so I don't know why you're trying to pick that fight, PY, but whatever.
I wasn't picking a fight. It's just
No,
having
he
fun.
just doesn't like Stroud because he went to Ohio
I
State.
actually do like Stroud. That's actually the exact opposite.
But we know you have a bias against Ohio State quarterback.
I don't
They're
have a
about to-
bias. History just is on my side. That's all.
Well, they're about
And
to win
also,
the
it's an
national. They're
easy
about to win the
trigger for
national
you.
championship. So
They are. All right, gentlemen. Great show. We are so stoked. We are 1 win away from the Super Bowl. I think we can do this. And hopefully next week when we come back, we will be again in a joyous mood. I'm
Dude,
praying. I'm hoping.
we got to get our known to send us down to New Orleans for $7,000 ahead.
Please,
Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Come on, Tommy. Come on,
I'm gonna
Tommy. You know you
I'm
got
gonna
Let's
this.
go,
text him.
Tom. Come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna text him right
You know
now.
how, you know how
Oh my
happy
God.
I would be able to walk up to my boss and be like, I'm not coming in this week. Why? I'm going to the Super Bowl to report.
No, we just got to do a pregame show on Sunday,
go.
and we got to
Sounds
go to the
fantastic.
game for $7,000 ahead, and then do a postgame show.
Well, we'll be
Fly
good,
home.
right?
Yeah, right?
I'm off.
We'll
I'm
do
off Monday, so I'm good.
interviews, You know,
Yeah, I'm off that
we'll
Monday
do
too.
PY on the street. You know, we'll have some fun with it.
Oh my God. I'm
Yes.
Thank you to Bazzio's Bread for sponsoring us. Remember, guys, mention A2D rated for 10% off your in-store purchase. Catch me and Pete Evans, not PY, Pete Evans, our show
Don't
on
love me.
Wednesday morning, Film Don't Lie. We will have Tom on the show with us this week. We had old A2D had Marcus Thomas on with us last week, so this week it'll be Tom, and we're gonna have guests on there consistently. Almost every week, but yeah, the show's awesome. If you want to expand your football talk to NFL league wide, we're here for you. We do film breakdowns as well, so check us out on Wednesday mornings. So for myself, for Brinks, for PY, and the rest of us all at A2D, we appreciate the love you. Go Birds, and we'll see you next week.
Birds.
Peace.